by introducing my players. First up, I have Bob, played by.
Barska, and Bob is a tiefling warlock who's a kind of a jerk.
Excellent. Next up, we have the Fixer-Upper and Snake, played by.
Ryanaga, Fixer-Upper, is a half-orc war priest. He's not a jerk. Well, except to Ron. And then Snake, who is a Yanti sorcerer of the Draconic origin.
Excellent, excellent. Next, we have Melrath, played by.
Stormy827, and Melrath is a Dwarven Eldritch Knight.
And followed by Tazarath, played by.
Cerulean, and Tazarath is a evil.
And last but not least, we have Tristan, played by.
Will, and Tristan is a kobold wizard, farce, dumber than he thinks he is.
Last time when we played through, the party had. I'll put those notes aside. The party had come across a number of imperilments across the Underdark. They had discovered an entire cadre of mimics, which they had defeated and freed a mace of disruption from. And they had also nearly fallen into, I think, a sinkhole, and they had found the ruins of some sort of settlement or something. And as they're checking about amongst the strange buildings, they found that monster stepped out of the darkness, and Akachi, the avatar of Miracle, god of death, or ex-god of death, has appeared with companions and looking a fair bit more whole, and has attacked the party. So we made it through round 1 of that, and we're going to kick off the top of the round with Tristan. What are you up to?
Okay, so let me quickly see what I had activated, because I really...
By the way, Snake will be up after Tristan, so plan your move.
You should throw your bat at him.
Sorry, I'm trying to find out how to do my sheet again. Here we go, clicking things. That would do it. Okay, so I have one last use of Melfs. So I'm going to bombard Akachi with my bonus action and then hit him with Scorching Ray.
Okay. You can drop each die roll on the character. There we go. That should help. Let's get this combat tracker over to here. Wow, that's a lot of D. There was, for some reason in the chat, like I had held down the D button and it just typed a whole bunch of Ds.
I will still say phrasing.
Okay. Phrase away. Minute meteor streaks across the battlefield, impacts behind Akachi, and he stumbles forward a bit from the explosive blast.
Pew!
And then I'm going to make it a double header.
Okay. So that's a hit. That's a critical. Roll your damage now. That's wrong. It should have doubled that. So roll 2d6 again, and I'll add the number. All right, if I remember correctly, I can shift and... Yes, I got it. He's gone bloodied. Next attack.
Wait, he's resistant?
No, he's vulnerable.
Okay, now I'm going to roll for the damage of the 2 that hit.
Okay. There you go.
Doesn't like fire, apparently.
Mummy hate fire, roar. Anyways, the scorching rays all universally hit the creature. It's so much easier, of course, when his ability to dodge is significantly hindered. Despite his armor, he is still a mummy, and he still very much catches on fire. Anything else for that round?
Nope. I think doing that many amount of taxes, I'm done being.
Okay.
What are the unidentified creatures? That was the other thing.
Nobody's identified them, so they remain unidentified.
Okay, I'm subtly hinting that some
Yeah,
people
yeah,
could.
okay, okay. Oh, we get the hint. Is it
Thank you.
religion?
Religion.
Okay. And I fail anyway, even with the +5. So I'm gonna Scorching Ray, just as before, because Akachi doesn't like fire.
Okay. All right, so 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Uh-oh. You jinxed it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I misread the religion roll as
I see.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just looking at the numbers.
All right.
Okay.
Phew.
There we go.
Oh, he's dead.
Yes. So Snake manages to land 2 out of the 3 hits. The continued blasts of fire ignite, and Akachi's undead flesh largely burns away, leaving behind a charred skeleton, a whole bunch of armor, which suddenly crashes to the floor, making a massive clattering noise. Melrath, you are up next. Ooh.
Nice.
You didn't actually drop that on the creature, but I got you.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so you outright killed that creature, and it expires. Ront is up next, and a roll for Ront. He had succeeded once, and he fails. So he's got 1 success, 1 failure. Unidentified creature 1. Let me just make sure I understand this correctly. 1. Okay. Wow. So you're both fucking like well armored hobags. So I can't. All right. I'll just have to do my best. What?
That's your best.
and you did. What you say happened.
What? Okay. So your hit point maximum becomes reduced by 5, and the creature gains 5 hit points.
He's a vampire?
Does he reduce reduction? No. I'm sorry, that was a different monster. Okay, good. But
No,
your
that
hit
was the
point
gas thing.
maximum is reduced by 5, so I'm looking for your hit points max. Goes down.
Oh, I already took off the 5.
Oh, thank goodness you told me. So that's one thing, and then
Nice knowing you, Melrath.
ooh. Well, he only had 1 good attack in him, so that's kind of it. Tazarath.
All right. I would provoke an AOP by leaving that thing's radius. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop it to.
Okay.
Here's that. And that. Okay.
So 2 hits. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anything else you want to do with your turn?
I would roll religion again, but I failed it the first time, and that's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
You did.
Last time.
I don't see. Oh! In the last combat. Okay. Last session actually. Vargas
Yeah.
is up. That is not
I'm
the.
surprised I remembered that too.
Yeah, me too, because I completely forgotten. You could have totally cheated. That's a miss. So Bob.
Jeez, Fargus, way to ruin everything.
I know, right?
I've forgotten everything.
It's only been a week, dude.
I barely remember what I had for breakfast.
That's a
So
hit.
do I do damage or the next hit?
Try for the next hit, and then you can roll all your damage at once. Okay.
Blow. So you want me to do 2?
Yeah,
Or
roll your
just
damage
roll
and
it
then roll your
twice?
damage again. And
Okay.
make sure you roll it on him, of course.
Boom.
Good.
Blow.
Boom, shakalaka.
So you stretch forth your hand, call forth your eldritch energy from betwixt the stars, and two beams of black as night energy streak across the battlefield, impact upon the white, and sear away at its undead's flesh.
Yeah.
Fixer upper, go.
I will roll religion.
Ah.
Oh, I forgot to do that.
Yeah, I did kind of rush you. If you want to roll, it's still fine.
Yay!
Although that does
finally.
it.
Hmm. He's a vampire, isn't he? Oh, damn.
He's a white. Whites. I'm trying to look for the short version of this. Exist in a transitory state, neither dead nor alive. Huh. So a lot of this information is just kind of contradictory and strange and confusing. The short of it is, the white possesses the memories and drives of its former living selves. They will heed the call of whatever dark entity transformed them into undead, swearing oaths to appease their new lord while retaining their autonomy. Never tiring, a white can pursue its goals relentlessly and without distraction. Humanoids slain by a white can rise as zombies under its control, motivated by hunger for living souls and driven by the same desire for power that awakened them in undeath. Some whites serve as shock troops for evil leaders, including wraiths. As soldiers, they are able to plan, but seldom do so, relying on their hunger for destruction to overwhelm any creature that stands before them. A white doesn't require air, food, drink, or sleep. They are resistant to necrotic and attacks from non-magical, non-silvered weapons. They're immune to poison. They can't be exhausted or poisoned. They knew any languages that they knew in life. They are still as intelligent as the average person. They have a sunlight sensitivity. They have a multi-attack, which allows them to double up on longsword hits or long bow hits, making them moderately formidable enemies. They are also capable of life drain. If they hit a target, the target must succeed on a DC 13 saving throw, or its hit point maximum is reduced by the amount equal to the damage taken. The reduction lasts until the target finishes a long rest. If the target dies while under an effect that reduces the hit point maximum, a humanoid slain by this attack rises 24 hours later as a zombie under the white's control, unless the humanoid is restored to life or its body is destroyed, and the white can have no more than 12 zombies under its control at one time.
Kind of sounds like a lesser vampire, sort of.
Yeah,
little bit.
of sorts.
All right. So my action will just be to spare the dying on Ron because we have to keep him alive.
Keep trying. So we go back to the top of the round. That's Tristan.
I'm going to toll the dead on the. Actually, can we take? How do you heal someone? If
You cut out.
isn't there like a heal action you can do down to?
Well, sort of. If There are some instances in which you can use a medicine check, but generally speaking, during combat, you have to be trained in it, and there's like all these other things, and it really doesn't do that much for you. It's basically if you don't have Spare the Dying, that's what medicine checks do for you. You can't actually restore hit points in that way. It's extremely limited. And the important thing is that when it comes to Rot, Spare the Dying's already been cast. So the only thing that you can do is walk up to him and stuff a healing potion in his mouth.
Okay, I'm just going to toll the dead on the.
Or a filter of love on an unconscious Rod.
Oh. Oh wait,
That
that
dead
failure's a
white
good
is so
thing.
dead.
Yeah, he's really fucking screwed.
Bang.
Ooh, he partially resisted that necrotic damage, but not nearly enough.
Yeah, and he still died.
Damage exceeds hit points by 1.
Dong.
Bing. So the bell tolls, and the white is consumed by the same necrotic energies that once animated it. Crumple. So you have defeated your enemies.
Yay.
However, one can't help but notice that you've already defeated this particular enemy once before, and so the party is feeling a bit unsteady about kind of hanging out here, given the probability that this thing could just rise again.
And maybe he'll come back stronger again.
Let's relieve him of his armor then.
I was going to say, let's loot his body, then burn his corpse, then run.
Okay.
Don't you have to pour salt on it first? Or is that just supernatural?
Actually, do we have some holy water? Or we can just do like a tri or quadrifecta of like
Can we
trying to
take-
cleanse. Actually, wait. Does anyone have that that spell that prevents undead from rising up again? What's it called? Oh shoot.
Consecrate,
I don't.
probably.
Removal of skull?
I mean, that would help as long as he didn't have his jaw. Yeah, I don't have ceremony in my spell
Yeah.
list.
I don't have it.
Okay. So yeah, your options are kind of limited, but if you want to loot the body, really the only thing that this guy has going for him is his armor. And so are you planning to keep the armor? Are you just going to take it and throw it away somewhere? Or
Seemed pretty powerful, I'm just saying.
It did
It's
seem
just
pretty
plate-
powerful, but
it's plate
Oh.
armor.
Okay.
Yeah, it's plate
It's
armor.
just play. All right. So
I do
there's no magic. All right.
There is some very dark magic associated with it, but that's probably not good.
we could probably toss it down to that big chasm that we were at.
Quite possibly, quite possibly.
Does he have any other loot on his body?
No, he doesn't even have a weapon. He's still using his fists.
Some pretty strong fists there. Can
Yeah,
we take those?
you could try, but do you really want to muck around with mummy flesh?
Take that!
How do cleric rituals work?
Well, cleric rituals. So different classes have different ways that their rituals work. And I say that because I need to distract you for a moment while I pull up clerics so that I can answer the question. Because I recently found out that when it comes to bards, they can only do rituals for spells that they already know that are on their spell list. So when it comes to ritual casting, it's under other. Bonus casting. Missing the trickster, blah 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 blah. Maybe I'll just Google search it. That might be faster. Here. How do cleric rituals work?
Also,
I believe we have a cleric, and ceremony is one of their rituals if we wish to prevent a recurring.
it looks like Ront is still cursed. Is that right?
Yes, by the mummy attack. He needs to remove curse spell to prevent him from losing hit points.
Well, damn it.
Okay, so here's the answer. In order for a cleric to cast a ritual spell, hold on a second. I see. Then I guess I just misunderstood this a while ago. I used to think that if you had a scroll that was a ritual spell, that you would sort of save that and work off of that scroll. And then you could cast any spell that you had that had the ritual tag. But the answer seems to be that so clerics know their entire or have access to their entire spell list every time that they go to sleep. So if you do a long rest, change your spells around so that you have ceremony, and then cast it, you can cast it as a ritual, and then it won't take a spell slot, and then the next time you rest, you swap back in whatever the spell was that you had before.
Okay.
Because clerics can freely swap their spells in and out on rest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think we have enough time for a long rest, and Ron's curse means that he can't recover hit.
Correct. Well, it's a little more than that. Let me pull up the mummies again. Monster manual. Reference here. Monsters. Nope, that's not it. NPCs, that's what I'm looking for. Alphabetical. Mama.
Wait, don't we have that healer NPC with us still, or did she leave with the
Mike
shroom?
and Eds. She went with the Mike and Eds.
Well, I have the remove curse spell. I just don't have it prepared today.
Right.
Okay.
The cursed target can't regain hit points, and its hit point maximum reduces by 3d6 every 24 hours that elapse. If the curse reduces the target's hit point maximum to 0, it dies and the body turns to dust. If the body turns to dust, it cannot be resurrected, but the curse lasts until remove curse spell or greater restoration is cast.
So essentially, if we take the time to rest, he'll turn to dust.
No, I think it has to reduce his maximum hit points.
Yeah, it has to reduce his maximum hit points to 0, and you have 24 hours, and a long rest is 8. So even in a given day, you've got some time. Now,
Okay.
if you do in fact make it all the way to Blingdenstone, depending on how far it is, as soon as like remove curse is cast, like let's say that he was down to 1 maximum hit point, the instant the remove curse is cast, it goes all the way back up to the max, his normal maximum for hit points. So you can even like kind of let him suffer for a couple of days with the horrible mummy STD. And go from there. But I just want to make sure that you guys don't think that, for example, he has a ridiculous amount of time. Now, I will tell you that... Let me also remove unconscious. There we go.
And literally, the only way to remove that curse is a spell. Remove
Yeah.
curse.
Yes.
Well, I have the spell, so it's not an if, it's just a when.
Yeah. And it's also the case that he has a maximum of 15 hit points. So he doesn't have an awful lot
Yeah,
to
that's why he
lose.
keeps getting knocked out.
Yeah, because he's essentially a level 1/2 orc. Like at some point, he's just going to fully expire.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about Ron.
Okay. So, anyways, you managed to pull the armor off of the creature. However, as soon as you do so, the armor starts to heat up and burn at your hands.
I will drop it.
Good
Wise
job.
choice. It rests on the ground. It continues to heat up until there is a dull orange glow, and then it sort of remains at that point. You can actually, I mean, aside from Chris's hands who are burnt, everybody else gets a rather pleasant warmth out of it. But it's radiating a fair bit of heat now, so your options for moving and interacting with it are limited.
Do you think
we
it's
could-
worth to dispel magic attempt on this, or?
It's
We
hard to
could
tell.
try and
You've never come
drop
across
one of
anything
these.
like this before. And this is something that
Yeah.
belongs to an avatar, so like the available information on it is pretty limited.
Mm-hmm.
Can we roll something like an insight or magic check?
You could try to do Arcana, and as for his skull, you can try to take it with you. But
Please don't.
again, you'll have to interact with cursed mummy flesh, so...
Yeah.
Oh, is that like a bad thing in this game.
Well,
No.
considering that it is giving Grant like a persistent maximum hit point reduction, yeah, I'd say. So
There you go.
Tristan considers the arcane implications, and dispel magic might work if it turns out that it is just an arcane enchantment. But if it is some function of the armor or some function of serving Merkel, then neither of those things can remove those kinds of effects. Gods can imbue things with,
Mhm.
persistent effects.
Well, Fixer Upper hasn't used any spell slots, so might as well try it.
Okay. So roll a d20, and see. Let's see what number you get out of it.
Okay. Low's good, right?
One.
Not this time, no. So,
Oh.
you roll your d20. You take your chances. As soon as the dispel magic spell is complete, the you feel a sudden how do I explain it? You're knocked backwards, not
Mhm.
like flying through the air, but more like somebody gave you a solid push in the chest. And the dispel magic deflects in all directions and has no effect.
Well, that was unfortunate.
Yeah.
Should we try it again?
Is that even
I'm
allowed?
still of the
Oh
opinion.
yeah, as long as you have spell slots, you can keep casting dispel magic. That's one of the few things that they don't really, put much in the way of a
Okay.
limit on.
I'm still of the opinion that as long as it's very hot metal, we could deform it pretty heavily using.
A boulder.
Can we
Yes.
make it a ring? Let's make a ring. Control all the other rings.
Just
Is that-
smash it into.
Is that water over there in the top right of the map?
There is a whole bunch of water. Yes.
Should we throw it in the water?
How are you gonna get it in the water?
Just use a stick and tap it over.
There's no sticks here. This is the Underdark. There are no trees.
Well, you didn't tell me that.
There's been fungus everywhere. I haven't mentioned a single plant since the goddamn adventure started. I brought a stick from the surface world just in case we needed it, you guys. I've had it this whole time. I
How about a
love this
sword?
stick. Oh, yeah, you could try a sword, but metal
And then
heats
it'll
up
melt.
pretty quick. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I guess I could play golf with my great sword in the thing.
Yeah. yeah. Here's hoping your great sword doesn't break.
It's too heavy for mage hand, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's full
Yeah.
plate.
Yeah.
All right, I'll use another spell slot. Let's not roll a 1 this time.
Well, I could do mine too. If you
Oh,
don't
you
wanna
have
use
it too?
another one.
You've been
Yeah.
holding out.
Well, you didn't ask.
Oh, okay, well, you go ahead now, and then if you fail, I'll try again.
Okay. What do I do? Just roll a 20?
Yeah, after you cross off your spell slot.
Aye, Captain. Is this a 20? Oh my god.
Wow, the incremental success tonight is
We're going the right
really-
direction, guys.
That's got to be like
Twice
We'll
as
get there
effective.
after casting it 20
Okay.
times.
It does.
Oh.
Yeah. Boy.
Was that another roll?
No,
Another
I
spell?
wanted
Oh, you
to make
just
sure.
decided to do that.
Yeah.
All right, here I go again.
Hey.
Okay, so your effect is stronger. This time the armor starts to dull for a second or two, and then
Of course.
you feel the energy being deflected away from it. So it seems to have some warding against your interference.
Okay, I'm not in favor of wasting any more spell slots on
Well,
this.
obviously.
I'm going to sort of pick up the armor with my great sword.
So you're endangering your sword? Like,
Well, you know what? Actually, what's my spear made out of? The spear I stole from the gnolls.
garbage. It's null material.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
it's actually
so
made of
it's
surface wood,
sacrificial.
and it has
See, there's a stick.
the metal point on it.
I mean, we could kick it really quick, couldn't we?
Well, I guess acid wouldn't work on this.
We cannot use the acid to our advantage.
No.
How about the
it's
bat?
thwarted. The bat.
Couldn't you just summon another one, Tristan?
Yeah, but the bat can't carry shit. I could also just cast Tensor's floating disc if one of you is able to put it on top of it and takes.
Well, I'm the most fire
I'm-
resistant.
I'm not going to torture you guys too terribly much with that. Like, you know, you can just summon the disc underneath this particular armor.
Oh, okay, works for me.
So you create your floating disc after 10 minutes of walking around and drawing out circles and redrawing circles and redrawing more circles because Bob thought he had something to contribute. And then suddenly the floating disc pops into existence and pulls the metal upwards. It wobbles a bit. That disc is supposed to be able to hold 500 pounds, and the armor is nowhere near 500 pounds. But despite that, the disc is kind of wobbling a bit. So you guys just, make a point of getting it over to the water as quickly as possible, and then dumping it in. Once the metal goes into the water, the orange glow of it does not in any way dull. And after a time, the water starts to give off a fair bit of steam. It went from being, absolutely ice cold to not boiling, but steamy. Anyone want to get in and relieve their sore muscles?
Hot spring episode.
It's, if you just reconstruct this sauna, you can build up all those fallen apart structures, and you can charge money. And
We can get a stick and put a sign up on it.
yeah, if only you still had that gelatinous cube.
Let's get out of here now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anybody?
we're not going to do anything to.
Unless we want to wait the 8 hours to consecrate that body, we should probably just leave. But if he's an avatar of death, consecrating the body might not work.
It probably wouldn't work. I'm more.
Yeah, at best it would just delay it a week, based on what I read. So.
Okay.
Which is fine.
So at this point, the party departs from the location, and I'm going to switch over here. So, as you guys head out the northernmost tunnel, you travel along for several hours, and then you see a very large, smooth rock with a flat face on it, one that's been sort of drilled down, or sorry, smoothed over by some humanoid hands. Bloop and bloop. No, wait, not that one. On that rock, somebody has scrawled into it a a script of some race. Does anybody understand the script?
I see. It is Elvish.
Hmm. Can you tell the party what it says?
It says, "This is the inevitable fate of all who oppose Loth and her children. Die and be forgotten, Gnomish."
Scum. Um, so, now that you hear the mention of Gnomish scum, recognize that you're moving towards Blingdenstone, that space that you passed through, the architecture struck you as kind of odd, even in its dilapidated state, and you start to get the sense that that might have been a homestead of sorts of gnomes outside of Blingdenstone proper. But nothing further to be done with it. As you continue to travel north, you start to come through a couple different caverns with a variety of tunnels leading in different directions, and you start to see some of the deep gnomes. They seem to be rather skittish. They're in groups of no more than two. Every time you see them, they avoid you as best they can, giving you quick furtive glances um, to keep an eye on you should you suddenly rush in their direction. Um, Traveling a little bit further, you see, hear, and then smell a lot of mining that's going on in the area. You pass the opening to one such mine. There's probably about a dozen deep gnomes, gaunt and scraggly, in the tunnel entry. And they're wearing a lot of tattered armor with some okay weapons on hand, but probably nothing magical, certainly nothing of the quality that you have. They look rather dour, and they're speaking in low tones to one another while watching you carefully. As you continue to travel, you're starting to see a lot of signs that a massive battle took place in this vicinity. There are explosion points where fireballs hit, lightning bolt blasts scorched and then burnt out chunks of rock. There's also a very unusual stylized detonation mark, which, after you've seen it 5 or 6 times, you come to recognize as glyphs of warding that have been scribed and then triggered. Um, but the thing that you notice the most, which the fixer-upper catches on to first, is the fact that um, there are no bodies whatsoever in the area. There's all these signs of a battle. There's no weapons. There's no bodies. There's no detritus that should be endemic from such fighting. Um, and you continue following the signs of this battle. And you pass a cavern that has a sign above it. Copy and switch and paste. And that's the sign. But nobody can read it.
Oh, I can read it if I want to. Can anyone else read it?
No.
Nobody can read it. It tells me who
Fine.
understands
Comprehend
things.
languages.
Bob can read all writing.
Oh! Oh, well then, if you clicked your spell slot, unclick it. I forgot that Bob had that really handy ability. It says in Gnomish, Stone Heart Quarry, and as you stop to examine the sign, there's a rumbling and thudding noise as earth elementals are marching as a single column out of the quarry. Um, 3 of them march out, and there is a tiny deep gnome riding on the right shoulder of the last earth elemental. It The earth elemental has grown a seat on its shoulder to allow the gnome to ride comfortably, and a stone harness helps hold him in place. He commands the elementals towards the city, pointing helpfully in the direction that they are to move. He sees the party and looks at you with a degree of curiosity and suspicion, but makes no action against you. You can hear other people moving around inside, and so yeah, there you go. Um,
I have a quick question.
yeah.
Who's Loth?
Oh, anyone want to roll a religion check?
Sure.
Certainly.
Oh, there we go. There we. What is with Melrath and all these religion checks that he like fucking aces? Melrath snaps his fingers and recognizes the name sooner. You recognize the name because Sareth, when he was still a person, had mentioned it on a number of occasions. Loth is the evil spider queen that rules over the drow. Um, Loth has a very personal hand in the shaping of drow society, and her tenets are part of why the drow themselves are so evil. Um, and I could go into those if you're really curious, but otherwise, that's really all I'll say on the matter. Yeah, Loth is a pretty major evil entity.
Is she a demon lord?
She is not a demon lord. And actually, I want to look something up real quick because I forget where she inhabits. All gods inhabit a place. Inhabits.
Oh, she's a friggin' god.
Loth is an actual god. Let me see here. Oh, and I spelled her name wrong. Apparently, it's Lolth. Most influential. No, that doesn't answer anything. Titles, aspects, pantheon, power level. She lives in a segment of the abyss. She is not a demon lord. She is chaotic evil. She is considered a lesser deity as opposed to some of the much, much more powerful deities like Lathander, who is a good deity, the wounded god. Her portfolio is over Drows and Spider, and her domains, as far as her priests are concerned, involve trickery and war. She is known as the Queen of Spiders, the Queen of the Demon Web Pits, the Dark Mother, the Mother of Lusts, and the Lady of Chaos.
Goody.
Any other questions? Okay. So, get back to my notes here for a second. The party decides to give Stoneheart Quarry a pass, and you continue off to the north. Further still, and you finally come to a series of large, wide stairs. Now, there are lots of signs still that battles once took place here, but the stairs are in very good condition and appear to have been repaired. Unfortunately, that is actually to your detriment, because any creature in the party that is medium or larger finds the stairs to be very difficult to climb as they're made for the smaller gnomish feet. So it counts as difficult terrain, but anyways, you get to the top of the stairs, and there is a platform with a series of sleds attached to chains, and the chains go all the way to the top of a very steep incline of a slope. Now that you have made it to this area, you can see that the gnome with the 3 earth elementals that you saw earlier, the earth elementals are simply somewhat merged with the stone and just sort of climbing it, even though it's an 80-degree incline. And where's the other thingy? There's a deep gnome who's on top of the platform. He has a chair. He's armed, but he looks very blasé. And he's been eyeballing you, deeply unimpressed by the time you've noticed him. He gestures to the chairs unemphatically. Have a seat and you'll be hoisted to the top, he says in Undercommon.
Sounds great. Thanks.
We should have a seat.
Sure enough, the chain is pulled at a very steady and surprisingly quick pace up the slope. The sled is very heavy. It has spaces on it, not only for seats, but for things to be strapped to it, like goods being carried up to the top. And
Or an unconscious
what?
An unconscious Runt.
Mm-hmm. He's conscious now. Actually, I should probably fix his hit points. Let's make him 14. There we go. Where was I? When you do reach the top, you're surprised to see that a massive earth elemental is on the end of your chain. It nods its head when you come to a rest at the top of the platform, and it gestures a hand the size of a human torso towards a large metallic door. This door is incredibly impressive. It's very wide, probably a good 20 feet across, and a good 10 and a half feet tall. The door is very heavily layered. It has a basic door plate with what looks to be, it has basic door that has been plated over by what looks to be adamantine. But you can see that there are runes and other metal woven into the basic door itself, which you can sort of see in between the plates of adamantine. Towards the center of the door, there is an eye height slit at high eye height for gnome anyways. And you hear a crunching sound on the other side of the door when the slit slides open. There's silence for a few moments, and then a pair of suspicious eyes press up against the slit from the other side. Who goes there? No. You're all too bunched up. Single file, shoulder to shoulder. she squawks. Well,
I don't think I can actually put my shoulders near any of these other people's shoulders. I'm too short.
then stand in a long line. I need to see all of you.
Tristan is going to stand in a line specifically behind one of the taller people. He's going to follow the order as against the idea.
You can see her eyes narrow in frustration. But despite that, she, no drow, nothing invisible. Wait. Do you know a Myconid named Sovereign Basidia?
Matter of fact, we do.
Well, feck. Get in here. The door slides open into the left side of the wall, just enough for the party to come in through. And once everybody is inside, you can see that there's a small guard space on the inside of the gate. And there are probably another 5 deep gnomes all standing around. The door guard is a woman. She has a very crooked nose. She must have gotten punched or something when she was younger and it never grew back properly. She has a massive wart on her right cheek, and she has jutting eyebrows. She's seen some shit. Um, she stands there and she has an intensity about her. She's here to guard this gate, and come hell or high water, she's going to do everything she can to hold back whatever tries to bust through. All the other door guards, they look far less interested in what's going on. They are clearly bored to absolute tears, and they're obviously frustrated by her. Your passive insight can pick up on that. Additionally, given her intensity, everybody is making a point to look in other directions. They're doing their best job to avoid her gaze, to avoid your gaze. So once you're on the other side, the door is closed quickly, and then she comes and sort of stomps in front of you, and she says, Sovereign Basidia sent good forward about your deeds at the Neverlight Grove. How, you might ask? He caused all of our fungus field to grow into letters, actual letters. He wrote a note on our food. Do you know how disconcerting that was? Do you know how upset the farmers were? They weren't even sure if it was edible after that. But no, lo and behold, your resume was sent far in advance of the party. Ugh, well, Dorbo and Seni Diggermatic have left specific instructions at the gate to have any adventurers matching your description sent in for an immediate audience. Now, I am far too important to the security of this facility to take you myself. And she whirls and she points at a deep gnome seemingly at random. Sturdy knee, she shouts. The gnome in question was facing away, but at the time, but he whirls on the party with an expression like the dramatic chipmunk. That sturdy foot, Mrs. Deep Twister. She glares at him severely. Right. Escort the party right away. Upon being given this instruction, he sighs dramatically and stomps off down the passageway, not grumbling to check and see if the party follows behind him.
I'll follow behind.
After you follow him for a distance, there is... I'm sorry, hold on a second. Let me just double check, make sure... Oh, on this side of the gate, you found that there is a space that is intended to be a cart lift, and it has an earth elemental manning the mechanism to power that cart lift up. It's standing there. It's basically frozen in position. If you hadn't seen the other earth elementals moving around, you might almost think that it was some sort of statue, because of course, stone. Anyways, you walk down a good 40-foot long passageway, and hold on one second. Is it 2? Yeah. As you walk down that passageway, you can see that in the wall, periodically, there are some dull gems that have been stuck into the wall, and they they look an awful lot like some of the gems that you happen to have in that pouch you found. And they're spaced out periodically, and they seem to have some rune marking around them. And the rune marking is incredibly complex. We would recognize it as something perhaps akin to a circuit board, making it very difficult for you to sort of figure out exactly what these gems would be and how they're activated, why they're activated. But the guard in front of you does not slow down his pace, and you don't have an awful lot of time to look. So once he gets all the way to the main gate, there's another very impressive looking gate. And that particular gate opens up, and you suddenly see before you a large, sprawling maze. And with the maze, you can sort of see a variety of different. Um, Actually, you know what? Hang tight for just a second. Adventure contents. Blingdenstone. I think I have a picture is what I'm doing here. Is there a map for this? Oh, marvelous. Okay. Then this is another one of those ginormous maps. So here's what I'm going to do. Oops. There we go. Okay. So then first things first. Actually, I was wrong. They have that handy dandy little thing right there that says 300 feet. It is a truly, truly massive gateway. Let me also make a point of revealing
Is anyone
this.
else still loading?
Yeah.
It's going to be a while. It's a very large map.
Okay.
But I'm going to start revealing stuff while that's going on. So,
Oh, here it comes.
there we go. There we go. And so let me also close that, close that, close that, move this over to here. And then I'm just going to grab Fargus and use him as sort of like an indicator of where the party is. My Fargus is big. Let's shrink him down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so everybody can see Fargus. So once you make it to this point, there's this massive maze ahead of you. Now, as you can see, this maze twists and turns, and there's like a series of ramparts over the top of it that kind of go above and around and bypass a number of different things. The cart mechanism, which you can also see directly to the north of Fargus, well, sorry, to the west of Fargus because of this funky ass compass. You can see the pulley mechanism for the cart, and there's also some system of spaces over the top where a cart can be taken. However, the guard seems to insist on taking you down along this long, winding path. So you go down, you go up, you go over. There's a lot of elevation changes, as you can see from some of these stairs, and down in this tunnel, essentially the winding passageway that you have. As you get to about here, you can see that there are several guard towers that overlook on a variety of different locations around here. And there are broken bolts, broken bow arrows down here in the pit. You can also see that there's some sort of greenish purple film along the walls and somewhat on the floor. And the gnome that's guiding you doesn't really seem particularly, perturbed by any of this. So he's marching along and he's grumbling to himself, and you can hear periodic cussing about Mrs. Deep Twister. Um, travel along, go underneath that guardhouse, and then we go back up through here, and then we come over and around. Da 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 da. I mean, here, and then you get to here, and once you get to this point, the deep gnome whirls around and he waves his arms backwards in the direction of the tower, sort of behind you guys. "Lower the gate!" And this giant door sinks into the earth in front of you. And you're finally able to make it up here onto the platform, and the gate closes behind you. It's all one hell of a big production. And so, which part is this? Huh. Sorry, hold on a second. I got a little confused about what's where. Okay. All right. So once you get up to the doors that you can see there, let me also switch over to mask mode so that I can reveal some more junk. Bloop, 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 bloop. There we go. Marvelous. So you end up passing through, and you find yourself in a 30-foot high ceiling tunnel. Embedded in the walls are spell gems spaced about 30 feet apart and 15 feet above the rough-hewn floor. The gems are socketed and held in place by something, and each gem seems to contain a spell symbol etched on its surface. You continue to move through this passageway, and it's not a straight shot, and there's a variety of spaces where all of these different spell gems sort of angle down at you no matter where you might try to hide. You make it all the way out over to here, and then reveal a
What was the
little.
name of the gnome who we were supposed to deliver the spell gems to?
I will answer that question momentarily. There we go. Hang tight for a second. Kazook Pickshine. There we go. Okay. So you make it all the way to the end. The gnome raps on the door with his fist in a particular percussive pattern. The door opens up. You leave the dark tunnel behind and step into what looks like another world. These aren't sinister drow caverns or harsh bare stone, but a subterranean land of warm colors and welcoming smells. The deep gnomes you see going about their business glance up at you with suspicion, but you instinctively understand that you face no threat here. The guard escorting you abandons his severe frown and then gives a deep nod as he prompts you to pass the inner gate. Welcome to Blingdenstone, travelers. So, at this point, I need to move
Is there
you
some sort
guys.
of happy field here? Why do you look so much more relieved when you're inside?
Well, what do you know about Blingdenstone?
Absolutely nothing other than I'm assuming it's been under attack by drow.
That's a marvelous guess. So at this point, what I'm going to do is there's going to be travel going on while I'm talking. Okay. So let me close up some of these things so I have access to the map. I'm going to tell you some of the background on Blingdenstone, and then I'm going to reveal some map and indicate where the party currently is. I need to know on this map. Let me do a quick search. 13 should be. Nope. Nope. Is this it? It is. Okay. Let me just go like this so that I have a little sign of where I want to. Yeah. So at this point, before I do the rest of the backstory on Blingdenstone, I'm just going to give you guys some quick highlights of stuff that you pass by. You pass by a trading grotto. You pass by a place which Bob is able to tell you is titled the Ruby in the Rough. Excellent accommodations for outsiders, it says as a subtitle. Wait, is that right? Or did I have the wrong place?
We should stay there.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the foaming mug. The Ruby and the Rough seems to be a religious facility. You pass a cultivation cave with a series of fungus. There's a lot of farmers fussing about how the fungus are growing, and you can still see some of the signs in Gnomish that these fungus have been forced to grow in a particular pattern. And you pass by some sort of open plaza with a series of big gates. There are 8 deep gnome guardians there, and they have 4 massive cave badgers at their disposal.
Yes.
Um, there is music that comes through a particular passage, which I suppose you can stop and see if you want to. But as I said, I wanted to give you those highlights so you had a sense of what you were seeing while I do some reading here. Going back here. Blingdenstone was once called the City of Speaking Stones. It was a deep gnome settlement founded more than 2 millennia ago. The deep gnomes, insular and secretive by nature, care little about histories and legacies, and thus this city's past is lost to time. For centuries, Blingdenstone remained hidden and isolated from the rest of the Underdark, and thanks to a combination of misdirection and magic. It wasn't until they provided shelter to a drow exile named Dris Do'Urden that the deep gnomes began to take a more active interest in the world outside their caverns. Perceiving the threat that the drow represented to all peoples of the Underdark, the deep gnomes abandoned their isolation when they came to the defense of the dwarves of Mithril Hall, defeating an invading drow force from Menzoberranzan. The alliance, however, would spell Blingdenstone's doom. The vengeful drow bided their time, rebuilt their forces, and then sent their armies to strike back hard against the Snurfnibelin, returning in great force to lay siege to Blingdenstone. The deep gnomes were no match for the drow army, and thousands of Smurfniblin were slaughtered, and those survivors who didn't escape to Mithril Hall or to the surface world were dragged in chains back to Menzoberranzan as slaves. Within the past decade or so, the deep gnomes have returned to reclaim, resettle, and rebuild their city. Their ultimate successes of their effort, however, hangs by a slender thread. Most of the ruined city is now a dangerous place that remains closed off with tunnels and chambers barricaded with gates or deliberately caused cave-ins. The Smurfniblin, the guard happens to mention that in the past, Blingdenstone had a series of were-rats that happen to live alongside the deep gnomes. And the were-rats now control a section of ruined Blingdenstone, and there's a bit of tension about that. But the most immediate threat seems to be insane elementals, um, ghosts of other Snurfniblin that lived in the city and were killed here and then returned as ghosts, and a plague of invading oozes that seem to be coming from the ruined city, although no one has been able to track why they're here or how they're getting in. So I'm flipping back through some pages here. Here we go. 24 or so Snurfnibl. Oh, actually, before I continue, does anybody have any questions about any of that before?
Well, I have a silly one involving a very old meme, but I'll leave that for last.
What's a Snurfniblin?
Deep gnomes. That is their
Oh,
official name.
gotcha.
And I knew that you love the ridiculous name, so I made a point of using it.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Nobody else wants to comment on the giant dire badgers and the fact that there's mushrooms and now a...
Well, you just did.
I mean, there's also
Do they-
insane elementals and ghosts. Like, this is a oddly lively place.
Do they like honey, the badgers?
Well, first of all, they aren't actually badgers. They technically are cave. What do they call them?
Do they not give a shit?
I think they probably like mushrooms. Okay, Chris, I said it.
That's
Cave
Okay.
badgers. Yes. Oh, they are badgers. Never mind. I thought they were cave weasels.
there's a very big difference.
There is a huge important difference. Thank you very much. And then I'm also trying to reveal a little bit more because you guys get a pretty good view of the city here. And let me go like that as well because I think it reveals why you can't go that way. There we go. And
And you said there was a ladder to the surface somewhere here, right?
there are lots
And then
of
we win.
surface goods that have been coming from the city. So there's some indication that they know a way to the surface and are probably trading with surface dwellers.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I revealed. Let me just make sure there is this. Oh, this is the music hall. Okay. There, that should do it. There. Okay. I think I finally revealed enough. I'm just eyeballing it to make sure. Yeah, this is basically Blingdenstone proper, everything that I've revealed. So, party moves down to here. Through some residential areas. Past the singing stones, which are in this cave. And then down through here. Over on this side, that's where more residential caves are. And then you come out into this area, and there's this platform. And you make it all the way to the top. 24 or so Snurfniblin occupy this well-lit cavern, some moving briskly with messenger pouches in hand, while others huddle around several stone tables covered in maps and other papers, talking in hushed, serious tones. The back of the room is dominated by a dais, carved from the rock of the cavern, atop which rest two stone desks facing each other. Two Snurfniblin, one female and one male, sit behind the desk, conferring with advisors and each other. They turn their attention to you as they enter. So Dorbo walks first, forward first. He's the male of the couple. Seni is his wife, and he walks up and sticks out a hand and looks at you expectantly. I'm told this is how surfacers greet each other.
Kristen's
So
gonna
I've
grab his hand and shake it.
Yep.
Well, it seems you have some manners after all. Although, well, how do I put this? The reason that you're standing here in front of me right now has everything to do with the Myconids. If they hadn't sent that strange letter, if it can so be called, in advance of your arrival, you probably would have been turned away at the gate. But that doesn't mean that we're going to trust anyone just based off of the word of the Myconids. They can be gullible, and we, if nothing else, are survivors. So, if you want our goodwill, or any favors from us, I would recommend that you perform some acts of service in the area.
Such as getting rid of slimes or dealing with were-rats.
I see that you've been briefed on your way here, he says, looking at the guard. Ooh, there we go. In fact, those are two things that we could use your help with. There's rumors, and let me see if there's actually rumors over here. Let me find the appropriate ones. Okay, that's not it. That one's not relevant. Yep, it looks like there's only one thing that's relevant, and that's not relevant to this one. in the northwestern part of the settlement, in the unreclaimed area, there's suspicions that some monster or magical force is responsible for the growing number of oozes. We want you to go into the area, find information as to where these creatures are coming from. Let us know about the nature of the threat lurking within so that we can assemble appropriate forces to take it out in a strike. If you do so, in addition to our trust and gratitude, which is worth a fair bit in the Underdark, we are also prepared to part with a spell gem capable of holding 4th level spells. Do you accept?
Wow. That sounds pretty sweet.
We'll
Sure.
actually have 4th level spells in it.
No, you can put your own spell in it, but we'll give you the gem for free.
Didn't we already come across some, or were you just describing what they were?
I was describing what they were. Spell gems actually have to be prepared specifically to be used. Like those are rough, unfinished spell gems.
But this one's finished.
The one that he's offering is completely finished and empty. Spell gems work similar to scrolls in that when you use them, they're used up. They're one-use items. But if you can put haste into it and be able to activate one of these things and not use a spell slot, it's worthwhile, I would say, as an example. You could also put fireball in it and huck it into the middle of something. That seems to work out well for this party. Anyways, so that's one thing. As for the other problem, well, we're a little divided on that. And at that point, Seni speaks up, and she sounds like she's about to take a deep, deep breath to start on some diatribe, and she says, "Trust me, honey. I'm going to make certain that your side of the argument is well represented, because if it isn't, I'm certain you'll speak up." And then he actually gives the party sort of a wry glance that she can't see, and you can hear her huffing, and he seems to be enjoying teasing his wife. There are a clan of were-rats. They call themselves Gold Whisker. I would frankly suggest that they be removed from their warrens to free up living space for the hard-working Snurflebin that keep this settlement going. We can use it. Our population is growing, and having some room to breathe would dramatically increase the rate at which we can recover our city. However, my beautiful wife argues that the were-rats are descendants of Blingdenstone citizens, and they deserve to stay and rejoin their community if they so wish. The were-rats are highly territorial and defensive, and so far any attempt to parley has been met with violence. Seni speaks up at this point. I would suggest that you venture into the warrens and talk with whomever is in charge. If you present yourselves as non-hostile as possible, there's a decent chance that they will hear out people that aren't directly involved in the fighting. You'd basically be acting as a neutral third party. And so whatever the case is beyond the walls, if my husband is right and they're too violent to rejoin the proper society, then make a report. Tell us what we can expect if we try to parley with these were-rats. And if it's all too dangerous, then I'll go with his plan and concede the point. But I'd still like to give them a chance to do the right thing.
And I also heard mention of ghosts.
Well, actually, that was one of the other things that we were going to mention. I think on the way here, you probably passed by Ruby and the Rough. Well, at the moment, I think... give me just a second, I have to get the name right. Huh. Oh. Pellick. Pellick is the senior cleric of Ruby in the Rough. He's been having some concerns about the ghosts, and he would like your assistance, but he has more information on the matter. If you're willing, go speak to him, and he'll be able to tell you more about what needs to be done. Now, as an aside, so for some reason, the book has decided that they're going to use a mechanic that isn't frequently used. And that mechanic is called standing, basically. The creatures that you're dealing with are quote unquote hostile. That doesn't mean that they're trying to attack you. It just means that at the moment they see absolutely no reason to help you. And if any of your plans sound like it would be any work, they certainly wouldn't be willing to help you. Okay, is everybody clear on what hostile means in this context?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
So there are 3 stages of rapport that you can have with a faction, or in this case, a settlement: hostile, indifferent, and favored, or friendly. Favored or friendly are the same thing. Indifferent simply means that they're open to hearing you out if your mutual needs sort of coincide. Then they may be willing to lend a hand if it doesn't take them too far out of their way. And friendly means that they basically consider you neighbors, consider you trustworthy, and will do whatever is necessary to help you out. Now, one of the things that's really important to know about this, because the book that I have in front of me doesn't explain this. I had to go all the way to the DMG to go find out what the fuck they were talking about. I need you to know that behaving in a rude manner in this circumstance has a chance to lower your standing with the people around you. So all of the deep gnomes that are in the vicinity are going to be assessing you on a social level. So you may want to be careful about what you say, how you say it, and be careful to be polite so you can make a good impression, lest you get kicked out of the settlement, because you're like basically at the level right above where that would happen. Okay, is everybody clear?
Yeah, I didn't sign up for this, but sure.
We
Who's
signed
the
up.
who's the nicest one in the party?
Melrath, of course. Um,
So are were-rats intelligent?
yes. So actually, let me pull up the monster manual for
We
just a
had
second.
2 in our party.
Well, and you ended up killing them.
Oh.
Monster manual, NPC.
I forgot about that.
Challenge ratings.
They exploded.
Like, wait a minute. Oh, okay. That's weird. Where rats? Other. All right. So here's some short information about were creatures in general, because you guys came across them already. I read this to you a long time ago. And actually, just for reference, this is what a were rat looks like. Anyways.
Okay.
Lycanthropy is the most ancient and feared of all curses. It can transform the most civilized humanoid into a ravening beast. In its natural humanoid form, the creature cursed by lycanthropy appears as its normal self. Over time, however, many lycanthropes acquire features suggestive of their animal form. In that animal form, a lycanthrope resembles a powerful version of a normal animal. On close inspection, its eyes show a faint spark of unnatural intelligence, or might grow red or amber in the dark. Evil lycanthropes hide among normal folk, emerging in animal form at night to spread terror and bloodshed, especially under a full moon. Good lycanthropes are reclusive and uncomfortable around other civilized creatures, often living alone in wilderness areas far from villages and towns. When it comes to lycanthropy, a creature can either resist its curse or embrace it. By resisting the curse, the lycanthrope retains its normal alignment and personality while in humanoid form. It lives life as it always has, burying deep the bestial urges raging inside of it. However, when the moon rises, the curse becomes too strong to resist, transforming the individual into a beast form or a horrible hybrid form that combines humanoid and animal features. When the moon wanes, excuse me. the beast can be controlled once again, and especially if the cursed creature is aware of its condition, it may not remember, or sorry, if it is unaware of its condition, it might not remember the events of its transformation, although sometimes those memories will haunt a lycanthrope as bloody dreams. Some individuals, however, see little point in fighting their curse and accept what they are. With time and experience, they learn to master their shape-changing ability and can assume beast form or hybrid form at will. Most lycanthropes that embrace their bestial natures succumb to the bloodlust, becoming evil, opportunistic creatures that prey on the weak. Were-rats in particular are known to be sly, avaricious creatures. They are wiry and twitchy in humanoid form with thin hair and darting eyes. Their humanoid and hybrid forms, were-rats prefer light weapons and use their ambush tactics rather than fighting as a pack. Although a were-rat can deliver a nasty bite in its rat form, it favors that form for stealthy infiltration rather than combat. A were-rat clan operates much like a thieves' guild, with were-rats transmitting their curse only to creatures that they want to induct into the clan. Were-rats that are accidentally cursed or break loose from the clan's control are quickly hunted down and killed. Were-rats are found throughout urban civilization, often dwelling in cellars and catacombs. These creatures are often common in sewers beneath major cities, viewing those subterranean areas as their hunting grounds. Rats and giant rats are commonly found living among were-rats. So, there's my TED Talk on were-rats. Thank you for listening.
And now you know.
Yes, exactly. Does that answer all of the questions that you had about were-rats?
Can
And
I remove
more.
curse, change them back?
No, actually. Lycanthropy is permanent once acquired. The only thing known to be able to remove it is a wish spell, as wish alters the nature of reality.
Wow.
So,
I
don't
want
get
that one.
bit. Oh, and were-rats, I believe, fall under the category of neutral evil as far as their alignment goes, just in case you were curious.
Gotcha. I'm gonna ask if they know the Smurf Neblin by the name of the
Kazook
picked one.
Pickshine?
Yes.
Okay, give me just a second. Oh, I finished just in time. I almost caused my water to overflow. Kazook Pickshine. Wait, Pickshine? Hold on a second. Let me just. I have to scroll back. I actually just made a connection between that name and some. Yep. Okay. Kazook. That's the youngest child of the Pickshine Miners Guild. So when we reclaimed what we have of Blingdenstone, the Pickshine family brought in an incredible amount of wealth, hired a whole bunch of deep gnomes as workers, gave them materials, and tried to reopen the mines. And at the moment, the mines output is the only thing that we have to trade with the surface world or other Underdark races. And at the moment, most of it's being taken up by the nearby city of Mantle Dareth. Um, and they're providing us with armor, weapons, other tools and pieces of equipment. But when we didn't have an awful lot to start out with, it's been slow getting all the equipment that we needed for the mines, because every single time you want to better equip the miners so that you can output more goods, there are other people in the city who starve or don't get clothing that they need or other basic daily necessities. So we've been trying to keep a balance between those two things to be compassionate towards everyone who lives here and also make sure that we're outputting as much as we can so that we can get back onto our feet. And it's been slow going. But Kazook, the youngest child, I think he has a stall set up in the Traitors Grotto. He has been pretty instrumental in getting that Traitors Grotto going and establishing a basic economy to the city.
Cool. Thank you. That is very useful information.
You're welcome. Cause no trouble.
I have no plan to.
Any other questions for our hosts? Okay. So at this point, the two places that you know that you need to go to, um, assuming that you want to pick up more quests, is Ruby in the Rough or the Traitors Grotto.
Well, if we're going to whatever the temple is called, the Ruby place, then we can use that to decurse Ront. But we've got remove curse, just need to rest. But
You're what?
I'm going off into side thinking, not coherent.
Okay. Does anybody not want to go to Ruby in the Rough?
I would like to go to the Trader Seal just to get this stuff off of us now, and maybe get some goodwill for giving him his.
Works for me. Anybody else object?
Nope.
Okay. So the Trader's Grotto is pretty much all the way to the north, basically where you guys came in, like the next cave over to the right. You can see some pools and whatnot. So when you get up here, you find that the Trader's Grotto is really kind of slim pickings. There are a lot of secondhand goods stores because they don't produce an awful lot on their own. Although there are a handful of spaces where some of the deep gnomes managed to pull together materials to make brand new tools or clothes or the fungus that's available. A lot of it seems to be based on the barter system at present, although the coins are still useful to them because they can use that to trade with either surface races or other Underdark races. You wander through a variety of different stalls, and then you see one stall that immediately catches your attention. Um, the stall has a whole bunch of equipment for working with gemstones. And as you can see from a distance, this person has a whole bunch of spell gems in various stages of completion. So that must be the place. Um, Once you approach, Kazook lifts up a multi-lensed I don't know what to call it, piece of headgear, I suppose. And having done so, he carefully examines the party and gives you a look over. Well, you're a strange bunch. We don't see your kind in here too often. Did they try to hire you to solve deep gnome problems with your surface world magics?
I'm not sure why you're calling us surface. Well, I am. Fargus is. The rest of them. Wait, are you actually from the surface world?
No, I'm a deep gnome.
No, not you. I was talking to the party.
Party doesn't care about your questions.
God damn it.
Okay.
I don't
Coherent
think
ass out of the way.
What's that, Will?
Oh, I think the kobold's like, I don't think I'm from the surface. Pretty sure I'm not. Maybe I am. I don't know.
The Fixer
Well,
is not.
oh, didn't know that.
Well, I'm making that determination now.
Okay. Well, if you're
I
from the
assume Snake would be, though.
yes, very much so.
Yes. Okay.
If you're from the surface world, perhaps you might want to buy some spell gems.
Well, actually, we're here for a different reason. We're here to return some property to you.
What? I didn't lose any property.
Someone was delivering you property, and they got themselves killed.
They were? Wait. Do you know who it was from?
Bloody, bloody, blah, blah, blah. We have the note. I don't.
Yeah, that's fine. Wurs Salt Baron and Gracklestug. You dump the sack of gems on the table for the stall, and they roll open. And he muffles a gasp as he looks around, and then quickly ushers the characters into the stall, and tells you to talk quietly and not be so open. He inspects the gems and weighs them by hand, looking at the characters with suspicion, and then he very quickly deposits into your hand a very large zircon that is finely crafted, but it's despite all that, it's only worth 50 gold pieces. That's your reward.
So it's the delivery fee.
hmm I was going to give this to
Okay.
the courier himself, but since he's dead, I see no reason not to pay you for a kind deed. Thank you, he winks. Now, I trust that no one will have said a word about this and that we can all move on with our lives without spreading the news to every other person in existence.
Of course.
Marvelous! Well, I have some spell gems to create, so I'll trust that you can find the door through that piece of fabric you just came through. Shoo!
I guess we should leave now.
So after you leave, you start to make your way back towards the center of the Traitors Grotto, and there's a sudden clanging of some sort of bell near the main entrance. The deep gnomes around you all draw weapons and retreat into their stall as you see a guard stumble back and then rise up into the air. A strange shimmer around him reveals the surface of a gelatinous cube that has engulfed him. Da 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 da. Everybody, get ready for combat. Roll your initiatives.
Thank God.
Oh, I hate those jelly cubes.
Well, at least I didn't roll terrible.
I did. Today is not my day.
Token. I have to. Well. So this thing doesn't exactly have a grid, so we're going to work with it the best that we can. Oops. There we go. And okay. So then I'm going to drop the party on the field. You're going to have to shrink yourselves down. I'm going to use the fixer-upper as an example. You should all be about that size, so shrink yourselves down while I get everybody in place here. Fargas.
What if we want to stay giant?
That's too bad.
Then
Don't
you
we
get
have
stuck in a
mushrooms?
trap. Yeah.
Don't we have mushrooms for that?
I think we still do. I'm not sure they're still good, but we.
It's like Apple. There's an app for that. There's a mushroom for that.
Let's see here. Shrink yourself. Melrath, shrink yourself. Snake. Bob. That should be about right. You can sort of position yourself around here. A little smaller than that, Melrath. There you go. Right about there. And so now I'm just going to go bloop, bloop. Actually, this one is a little bit. There we go. And there. So now you can sort of see the gnome trapped in the gelatinous cube. So first to act is the fixer-upper.
Okay. Can I get to it? Well, I guess I should roll first. What am I rolling?
To identify?
Mm-hmm.
Arcana.
We've met our gelatinous cube.
Yeah, but I forget all that stuff.
That's fine. So now I can click that button, and then I click this button. Gelatinous cubes scour dungeon passages in silent, predictable patterns, leaving behind perfectly clean paths in their wake. They consume living tissue while leaving behind bones and other materials undissolved. A gelatinous cube is all but transparent, making it hard to spot until it attacks. A cube that is well fed can be easier to spot since its victim's bones, coins, and other objects can be seen suspended inside of the creature. It is large. It is unaligned. They are especially hardy. They are not known to be intelligent. They are immune to being blinded, charmed, deafened, exhausted, frightened, or prone. They have a blind sense of 60 feet, and they're rumored to be blind beyond that radius. The cube takes up its entire space. Other creatures can enter the space, but a creature that does so is subjected to the cube's engulf ability and has disadvantage on the saving throw. Creatures inside the cube can be seen, but have total cover, because of course there's a cube around them. A creature within 5 foot of the cube can take an action to pull a creature or an object out of the cube. Doing so requires a successful DC 12 strength check, and the creature attempting to do so takes 10 acid damage. The cube can only hold one large creature or up to 4 medium or smaller creatures inside of it at a time. Even when the cube is in plain sight, it takes a successful DC 15 Wisdom Perception check to spot a cube that is neither moved nor attacked. A creature that tries to enter the cube's space while unaware of the cube is surprised. They have a pseudopod, which they can use to hit you, and the cube can move up to its speed, and while doing so, it can enter a large or smaller creature's space, and then whenever it enters a creature's space, they have to make a dex saving throw. On a successful save, they get pushed 5 feet in any direction around the cube that they want. A creature that chooses not to be pushed or fails the consequences of the saving throw enters the cube space and takes 3d6 acid damage and is engulfed. An engulfed creature can't breathe, is restrained, and takes 66 acid damage at the start of each of the cube's turns. When the cube moves, the engulfed creature moves with it, and the engulfed creature can try to escape by taking an action to make a DC 12 strength check, and on a success, the creature escapes and enters a space of its choice within 5 feet of the cube. Ta-da!
Thanks. So I created spiritual weapon
Okay.
as a bonus action.
Let me create a token for that. Token.
We should try and save that deep gnome.
Drawing layers. Why can I not create tokens?
Is that the one behind the cube?
Oh, I know what I need. Yes.
When I say we, I mean someone with a positive strength score.
Okay, so here's the spiritual weapon. I'm shrinking it down. You can move that to wherever you'd like.
Is this 120 feet or
Yeah, there's no grid for this, so we're gonna do our best.
okay? I don't know how to delete stuff like this triangle I had drawn.
Oh, give me a second. Close that. Out. Triangle. So you right click on it.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, that's not it. I gotta zoom in a little bit. Right click on it. Mouse over, go to pointers, and then under pointers, an option that says remove this.
Okay. All right, thanks.
There you go. And actually, for the purposes of this, everybody should be zoomed in a fair bit. There we go. Make this a teeny bit larger. There we go.
All right. And so my main action is just going to be to switch weapons because that takes a main action.
Okay.
And I don't want to use the Mace of Disruption in this case.
Okay. Next up is going to be Ront. Ront is going to fling a javelin from here. He hits the cube, amazingly enough, because that is a shit roll, and does max possible damage to the gelatinous cube. His javelin sticks into the side, the gelatinous cube quivers, and then it is pulled inside. Eric, are you okay? Eric? Eric? He may be having some internet problems. We will move on.
In all fairness, there are a bunch of storms running through the area.
They're all gone. But anyway, the question is, I was going to attack with a spiritual weapon.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, you can still do that.
Thanks.
Yeah. I don't need that.
So it's cube 1, right?
It's cube 2 that the weapon's next to.
Oh, okay, cube 2.
Ooh.
Nice. Oh.
Well, that's damage. So your spiritual weapon manages to hit the cube dead on its face, and it causes a massive ripple effect, which just causes the entire thing to jiggle and shake. So it takes a hunk of damage, and the cube is attacked. So at this point, that was Ron. Fargus is up next. So Fargus is going to try to use his hand crossbow because that's the safest thing to do. He scores a critical hit. If only he had had
all
his
these
sneak
crits?
attack. And does even worse damage. I don't know, but let's keep him coming. Tristan, critical hit for us.
Okay, I'm going to upcast Scorching Ray because Lightning Bolt, after trying to hit something with something else inside of it, would be a bad idea.
Actually, while that would be true logically speaking, the game rules don't allow for that to be a problem, so
Hmm.
you can hit it with
Uh,
lightning bolt if you like. It's not actually like water, so it won't conduct.
so I have a question. How dexterous does this cube look?
Well, about as dexterous as wobbly jello.
Oh. Hmm.
Does that
Well, okay.
answer your
Lightning
question?
Bolt it is. It does. I'm going to Lightning Bolt Gelatinous Cube number 2.
Okay.
Are they vulnerable to anything?
Nope. But they're also not resistant to anything either, except for conditions.
And they're not immune to anything?
Actually, wait a second.
No immunities.
We know that their AC is absolute crap, right?
Absolute crap.
Upcast
Well,
Scorching Ray times 4 then.
I mean, ultimately, you suspect due to the low dexterity their AC is crap. So let's put it that way.
And they're giant.
And I think Ront hit them with a 9?
So
No, an
question,
11.
8d6 or 8d6 in 1 attack or 8d6 over 4 attack?
Actually, that's a question for Eric.
Because 8d6 over 4 attacks can potentially crit versus the 8d6 over 1 attack cannot because it's a spell.
Furthermore, if the 8d6 over 1 attack misses, then
Good point. 4 it is. Scorching Ray time.
That's a hit. That's a hit. That's a hit. And that's a natural 1.
No, it's not. I'm going to use my Portent of 3. Does an 11 hit the damage?
Yes. Well done.
Petty, yes, but I want to save. I want to be well known and liked.
So Tristan is waving his hand in arcane gestures, and these streaks of scorching rays lash out at the creature, and he seems to trip on the last ray, but it still manages to impact the creature in a glancing blow. And you really laid into that creature. How much? Like 9, 9, 18, 20, like 30 some odd damage. Yeah, just beam
31.
after beam scorches at the creature, scarring the surface and making a horrific smell.
And he's just screaming, "No eat kobold!"
Tazareth, it's your turn. What horribly brave thing are you going to do?
I will go down here and join the shield wall, and then I will do some sort of ranged attack. Oh, right, I've got my daily chromatic orb. I'm going to try and disrupt the chemical makeup of this. It's a shame I can't use base instead of acid.
Indeed.
Um,
But
Bleach ball.
yeah. Well, I can't use it, but then again, if I did, people would call me a liar. But I'm.
Okay, that's
I'm
bad.
gonna-
We can stop now.
it is terrible. I'm not sorry. Chromatic orb on the first cube, the closer cube.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a hit.
Fire. Do
Ah,
do do.
pretty substantial amount of damage. Well done. So at this point, it is time for the deep gnome. So I'm going to try to figure out. I think I grabbed this. I roll. He struggles with all of his strength, but is unable to free himself from the cube. So at this point, I have to roll. Okay, and then I go. Nope. What? There we. What? Yes, there we go. Okay, he finally takes some damage. There we go. Melrath. Melrath, you're up. Also, you're targeting Gelatinous Cube 1. Did you do that?
Yeah,
Oh. Would you like to
I'm
inform
just
me?
going to shoot at it.
Okay. Whoa.
What is it with all these crits?
I don't know. Why question it? Okay. You. All right. So you fire off your hand crossbow twice, manage to accomplish about 11 points of damage, and um, yeah, both of the cubes look like they're in the same condition, really. Um, well done. Is there anything else you want to do before the end of your turn?
Nope, I'm good.
Snake, you're up.
Scorching Ray on number 2.
Okay.
Wait a minute now. Why are you
So,
targeting me?
Good question. I
well,
tried to hit Cube 2, but I guess I
it's
fat fingered it.
it's actually fine as long as you drop the damage on the right character. It should be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll drop the
Because you
damage
rolled
now.
a 20 regardless of who it was against.
So I should just drop it right now on 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Not on me.
God damn it! It's not doing it again. Can you roll 2 more d8? I don't understand. Maybe it's because you didn't target the right
Yeah,
person.
probably.
But,
That's probably what happened.
yeah.
Du- du- du. Huh.
Okay. That's a really solid hit. So you rolled 2d8.
Yeah.
They're 2d6.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah. Why don't you roll that damage again?
All right. So, okay.
Wow. Okay,
Nice.
even better. Nicely done. Sorry, just this is against 2. There you go. All right, damage has been done. The creature is bloodied.
Nice.
Okay.
More damage.
Oh,
Excellent.
I get a +1 on that because of my ability.
Okay, I'll tick up the damage 1. Shouldn't you have had a +1 on the previous roll as well?
I should have, yeah. I just didn't think of it.
Ooh, that's not right. There we go. If you have any more attacks, you can roll them now.
That's one more.
Wow. No, you're
Okay.
supposed to wait. I'm sorry. You're supposed to roll to hit.
No, he rolled 3 rolls to hit, unless
I
you were
see.
rolling.
Cast 25, then damage. Oh no, you're.
His first was a 20, remember?
Yeah, his first was a nat 20.
That's right. So the final 12 just doesn't count because you already had your 3 hits.
Unfortunate.
Indeed. But
Well, yeah, it does, because that was the third attack.
then what is snake damage? 6 and a 1, 7. It says 7 under attack 25.
That was the
Yeah.
second attack.
He rolled both of his damages after he rolled both of his attacks.
Right, because the crit was there. Never mind. Everything's fine. Sorry about that. I got confused with the way everything was laid out.
Crits confuse me too. It's fine.
Well, especially when they're not fucking working, because, God.
Mm.
Anyways, Bob, you're
Many
up.
targets. Friendly folk.
Having narrowly escaped death, you get to act.
Yeah.
Failure.
Failure.
Boom. Wow. By 18.
Your mind spike apparently melts the mind that the creature doesn't have, and it quivers and disintegrates.
You said it wasn't immune.
It is not immune. The psychic damage was very effective, it seems. Anything else, Bob?
I think that's it for me, unless everyone seems to be doing like 2 actions. Am I just slow?
Well, the Scorching Ray allows you to attack multiple times.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. So
I...
now the Gelatinous Cube gets to move. And it's going to move and attempt to engulf the fixer-upper. So let me roll engulf versus fixer-upper. You succeeded by the exact right number that you needed. Actually, slightly more. You managed to escape the creature, so I'm going to grab you and just shift you there. And that was its attack. Yes, that was its attack. So, go back to the top of the round. Fixer-upper, it is your turn to act.
Okay. I'll just attack it.
Isn't that your spiritual weapon hanging out over there?
Well, it's too far away now. I can't.
You can move it half the distance this turn, and then it can attack next turn if the creature's still going to be around.
Okay. So I did
If
that.
it'll be around.
I sincerely doubt. Oh, I rolled damage first. Whoops, sorry. I'm fading fast here.
Oh no, everybody seems to be exhausted today.
Just a bit.
Okay, so there's the hit,
Nice.
and there's the damage. Okay.
Okay. Wait a minute. I think the 12 got applied to the creature anyway, so let me just
Yeah.
back this off. There we go. All right. Creature is bloodied regardless. And your sword slash leaves a I want to say crevasse, but that's not what I mean. Canyon in the creature's oozy flesh. Ront is up. He's still.
And what does Ron say?
What would he say to a giant gelatinous cube?
He could give it a miss because he's feeling bad, but I don't want him to.
No. Okay, well, he hits. What will he say when he hits? Let me try that instead.
Eureka.
Oi, take that, you jiggly fucker!
That'll work.
His javelin hits the creature and sinks into it once again, slowly beginning to disintegrate. Fargus is up, and Fargus is very excited.
Mm-hmm.
That excitement actually allows him to hit, because his excitement is due to the fact that The fixer-upper is adjacent, which means he gets sneak attack damage. Woof! Woof! He fires off his bow or a hand crossbow from a distance. The bolt manages to sink into a somehow vulnerable section of the cube, dealing additional points of damage. Tristan, you're up.
I'm going to Toll the Dead.
You ring that bell.
Failure.
Haha! I knew it was not worth wasting a spell slot on this
Right.
little jiggly fucker.
Damn. So can you see the actual save, like how it came to that number, or just the final number?
I saw its final number being a 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So with the toll of the bell, the sonic and necrotic energy is far too much for the gelatinous cube to take, and it quivers and disintegrates into a sizzling pile. With the final gelatinous cube destroyed, the other deep gnomes look around with a great deal of trepidation. Now, let me see here. There's supposed to be a thing. Got that. Oh, marvelous choice. So the party goes over to see how the guard was doing. His name is Mev Flintnapper. And you help him up, and he has a bunch of acid burns on him. He's going to limp his way off to the temple, but they're not severe. The party gets to make a Constitution check to improve relations with the. Or sorry, not Constitution, Charisma check to improve relations with the deep gnomes. And so what I'm going to do.
Is that ability or save?
You guys don't have to do anything. Just watch the chat. I think this should work.
All right.
Wow.
Can you see that?
No.
No.
Nope.
We saw them roll, but
What about that?
no numbers.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Okay, so I see how that works now. I'm going to go with the first roll. So Melrath, fail at 3. Bob, succeed, 16. Snake,
Yay!
succeed, 11. Tristan, succeed, 16. Tazarath, succeed, 14. Fixer-Upper, succeed, 17. As a group, you have managed more successes than failures. Therefore, you have slightly shifted the gnomish impression of the party to indifferent through your heroic
Hooray.
actions.
Wow.
So,
All me.
all the fixer-upper. So at this point, I'm going to close that tracker. Right. So you've defeated the ooze, and I should actually probably get rid of Mev now because I'm not going to need him anymore.
He's going to go off and heal.
Die. There we go. Okay. So, and I'm also going to remove this token. Bloop, bloop. There we go. Right. So at this point, you have a couple of choices as I see it. You can either go to the religious center, Ruby in the Rough. You can go to the Foaming Mug, which is the name of that bar establishment I was trying to mention before, or you can try to either deal with investigating the oozes or investigating the were-rats, whichever you'd prefer to start with.
Can we talk about that start of next game?
Oh my god, it's 9:06. Yes, absolutely. Perfect timing, in fact. So, thank you guys so much for playing, and I will see everybody